moderator, and producer, DJ Martinez. Hello, DJ.
Hey, I'm the Modaducer.
Yes, he does everything. He's the Moda producer. How do we get graphic?
The Moda designer.
Gramada, yeah.
Gramada, I like that.
We'll figure that out. It's it's a work in progress. Anyway, how the heck is everybody? It's another exciting late Captain Logan show. We're all loopy and ready to end our day just as my work is beginning.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be another doozy of a show, guys. Hopefully you can keep us on track, because even the moderator's off the rails already.
Oh, there she is. There she is, the love of my life on a cup.
I was like, who are you talking about? Is someone in my house?
No, it's the cup. It's that gorgeous cup.
The Holy Grail.
Oh, man.
Free cup from the movie theater.
It's a good thing that my wife doesn't usually watch this show, because
she'd be super mad at you because you're an unfaithful man.
No, she just wouldn't believe me. She'd be like, no, you hated that movie just as much as I did. What the heck are you talking about?
He's a fraud, guys. He's a fraud.
I'm Kermit the Fraud. So tonight, DJ and I are going to take your questions as always. We're going to do mostly Q&A tonight. Ask me anything, talk about anything you guys want to. Before that, we got a couple of lead-in topics. We've got to talk about some of the new title announcements and things for Marvel. There was a 3-minute trailer the other day, 2 minutes of which were, don't you love Marvel? And isn't it great that we're still making Marvel things? And then at the end, they showed us real brief clips and kind of, I guess not stills, but just real brief shots of some of the things that are coming soon that I don't really have a lot to say about, but they're in there. We got some new dates, and I'm not going to go through everything. If there's anything in particular you guys want me to talk about, I will, but I'll just mention the couple of things I care to mention about that whole thing that I found interesting and kind of surprising. And then we also need to talk briefly about the Superman news, and that we have now got real, honest-to-God confirmation that the Ta-Nehisi Coates script, that Superman movie, is definitely going to be a black Superman, and it definitely is not going to be Michael B. Jordan, and it's straight from his mouth. And it's sounding more and more like it's definitely going to be a Kal-El and not some like a new version of Kal-El, and also I guess I'm just doing this right now. Also, it's sounding more and more like it might be a period piece. All I've heard is 20th century, but I don't know what part of the 20th century. If we're doing a big front and center race story, I would imagine it's probably going to be like set in the 60s or something, but maybe not, who knows. There could be like a 70s thing. There's with that premise, there's a lot of different places you could put it. You could put it anywhere you'd want to, but it being Coates and they're saying period piece, I'm going to assume that the first thing I think of is, okay, it's a civil rights story, but era story, but who knows, it could be it could be anything. So anyway, I guess I already did that, but I may talk a little bit more about that.
That's awesome. I didn't know about that. That gets me super pumped. First Class, Watchmen are two of my favorite superhero movies. I love period pieces. I love revisionist history stuff. I'm on board if that's what it is. And if it's just your made-up thing, then I'll be disappointed. So thanks.
and I like Joker fine, and that was also a period piece. I liked it. This is sounding more and more Elseworldsy. So anyway, I'm more intrigued by that than I was before, I suppose, although I thought there were a lot of interesting things you could do even with President Superman of Earth 23 and stuff like that. But I thought people were really jumping the gun to just assume that it would be a African-American guy from the comics that we've had wearing that suit before. I would have been really surprised if that's where we went with that. But anyway, if you want to ask a question and make sure that it is, or just bring up a topic, make sure that it's discussed on air, whatever you want to talk about tonight, within reason. Mostly, we love, of course, pop culture stuff, sci-fi things, comic book stuff, superheroes, etc., etc. Leave a super chat in any dollar amount, and that will guarantee that your topic gets read. If you don't want to do that, can't do that, don't worry. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Feel free to leave a regular pre-written question just in the comments, and we'll get to as many of those as we can as well. Tonight I'm going to start a new thing. I'm going to try to remember to do this as often as I can remember, because there's a couple things that we've established that we don't always end up doing. Comment of the stream is one, and I just haven't seen like a really great one lately, but as soon as something comes up, I'll make sure and put it on for next time. Comment of the stream. The end of tonight, we are going to do thoughts, because DJ has thoughts, and so I don't want to be too long-winded at the beginning here, because I want to make sure that we can work everything in. But another thing that I want to start doing especially on nights, I might not do this every time, but especially on nights where there's, kind of a big news topic, I want to start doing square off polls specifically for this show. Square Offs is a really neat website that I just learned about recently. That is actually, I've been talking to these guys. They're great. It's actually a local Kansas City business, and they make it possible for you to have really cool debates where you answer in a poll that only has 2 responses, and then you can explain your response either way and reply to other people's. It's a really cool way to get a sense of kind of context and perspective of what some of the rest of the world thinks about things outside of just your circles and echo chambers. So I can do a poll on YouTube specifically for our audience, but I've only got the sample set of you guys. If I do one on Square Offs, especially as that website grows, I can reach out to other people that aren't in our audience and get more of a sense of what the broader consensus or lack thereof might be, which is why I'm doing these things there and why I've been doing them every day this week. I think this is a really great website. I'm going to keep using it, and I want to do it more for this program. So the question I just asked right before the show is, are you disappointed that Michael B. Jordan is not going to be Superman? We just found this out a couple days ago, so go in there if you are so inclined and vote yes or no, and feel free to put in a response. And at the end of the show, I will tell you where the poll is right now and see how our audience, just watching live right now, feels about that whole thing. So that is the news that's fit to print. Let's go ahead and get right into the lead-in topic. So DJ, the big things that we learned from... Did you watch that trailer?
I did.
What did you think of the way they framed that whole thing? Because I thought the Stan Lee speech was nice, and then I think it went a little too far in patting itself on the back for having, history and for being popular.
Yeah, I don't know. I was fine with it. I think they've earned it at this point. I know it's probably a little goofy for some people, but it didn't bother me too much. Mostly because I've talked about it before, but Endgame, that was like the best experience I've ever had in a movie theater. So that ending was very similar to what I experienced. So it kind of brought back some good memories for me. So I didn't have too much problem with that. But
I thought the Stan Lee speech was super classy.
Yeah,
that was a great idea. I found myself, partly because of that, not minding seeing 2 minutes of footage that I was already familiar with, and some of that even tugged at my heartstrings a little bit. But they lost me with the audience reaction to all the heroes showing up at the end of Endgame, and then Captain America saying "Avengers Assemble." Like that was, guys, that's going too far. You're really bragging at that point. Like, yeah. We know how popular that was. We know how big of a moment that was. We were all there. Everybody in this country saw that movie. That's hyperbolic, but it was huge. It was insanely huge. We all know what the response was to that. So I don't know. I didn't need that. I rolled my eyes at that pretty hard.
Yeah, but I mean, all that footage at the end, I'm sure that's stuff people have already seen. That was my first time seeing any of it, so I hadn't seen.
Some of it was new. I think that was our first glimpse of anything from Eternals, besides maybe like a screen grab or two.
Yeah, I just grabbed the little shot of what's her face doing the sword thing. That was kind of cool.
Blue Dragon 5 said that was Stan Lee's last official speech for Marvel, which is interesting. I wasn't sure where that came from.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
And I don't know.
It wasn't. It was cool that it wasn't like the generic quotes you always hear from him. It was, if it was his last speech, that would make sense why I wasn't familiar with it.
Dragon 5 also says, let them eat their hero cake cap. I mean, they've been doing that ever since that movie came out, though. Like, I don't know. You're making that for the fans to get us excited about what's happening next. You don't have to keep patting yourself on the back. It's almost like it's trying to prove how popular and ubiquitous the Marvel Universe, the MCU is right now, and it's like, yeah, we get it. And also, if some of Phase 4 doesn't pan out, like a lot of people have not been super happy with the first 2 Disney Plus shows, or at least the way that they've ended. It's gonna look like they were kind of rubbing that in too much at the end of the day. I think like that. I don't know. I think that might have been kind of a mistake, but whatever. The things I most wanted to talk about are title announcements. It's interesting that the Black Panther sequel is going to be called Wakanda Forever, and I thought they might call it like World of Wakanda or something. That's been a comic book, but Wakanda Forever was always a possibility. I don't guess I ever really talked about that, but I was thinking maybe they might have gone that way, so that's what they're calling it, and I like that. But it still has Black Panther above that title. But the Captain Marvel sequel is going to just be called The Marvels and does not have Captain Marvel's name anywhere in that, and I think that's really telling. And puts us in such an interesting place in history now moving forward, because those were supposed to be the two new big heavy hitters that would take the place of Iron Man and Captain America as we're losing them as the big head Avengers. And one of them, sadly, the actor has passed away and can't continue playing it, and they're not going to recast. And the other one, in my mind, was not as popular, and people didn't respond to it the way that Marvel was hoping they would. And so one of them, they've had to replace with an ensemble cast. We'll see how the Black Panther thing actually works out. If Shuri gets the mantle, or if they don't even really pass the mantle in that movie. Because just because it says Black Panther doesn't necessarily mean that anybody gets to be Black Panther in that. That could just be a legacy thing. They could feel for whatever reason they need to still be using that name to sell it, but they don't need the Captain Marvel name to sell anything. They might be thinking.
Which I think is weird. There's not a single person who knows what Wakanda Forever is that needs Black Panther. I don't know. That seems super weird.
But The Marvels sounds really generic.
Yeah. And I don't know. That might just be, it would be really stupid to call it Captain Marvel : The Marvels.
And The Marvels. Because then you get the same. Yeah. And it's great because then you'd get three, because it would be Marvel Studios, Captain Marvel, and The Marvels.
No, never mind. They take it back. They should have named it that. That would be hilarious.
Every single action figure, because now all the action figures are always Marvels, whatever. It'd be Marvels, Captain Marvel, and The Marvels.
That's pretty good. I was surprised to see Black Panther on there.
I was gonna say, which of those surprised you more? I made a poll about that too, because I thought it made for a perfect square off poll. Where it was like, which of these is weirder news?
Yeah, I don't know which one was more surprising, but I do think it is slightly weirder that they think they need. I don't know what the reasoning is. Like, why would they think that? I don't think they need Black Panther. I think, especially if you're using Wakanda Forever, which is arguably as famous in pop culture as Black Panther, because Absolutely. That got huge.
Yeah.
So it's like you're already using the most famous, most recognizable thing from that movie. I don't think you need Black Panther in front of it.
It's always weird looking at the moment of time you're in, just with, like, this is such a weird point to make, but just with Google searches, right? Because you'll hear about something that's coming out, and then you'll think about, like, what that in a keyword search does right now versus what it's going to do tomorrow. So, like Wakanda Forever, the day that dropped, I put that in a Google image search, and the first thing that comes up is the board game that they made for Black Panther called Wakanda Forever. And then eventually that's going to be a movie, and that won't be even on the first page anymore. That's always interesting.
No. Yeah, that's very interesting. It's annoying sometimes, too, when movies decide to just, like, take over words like Frozen or, like, Twilight. Like, I can't even think of the word Twilight without vampires in my head now. Like, if that's a word that I might use sometimes, and I can't even use it anymore. It's weird.
Anyway, we digress. I just wanted to make the point that it does seem kind of telling to me that what we all assumed would be Captain Marvel 2 is turning into what sounds like a team thing, or maybe just a couple of characters with Marvel in their names. There's the question of whether Miss Marvel will be in that movie, and if that's just suddenly happened at the 11th hour, because she's getting her own TV show, and it's coming out, I think, this year. Or is it beginning of next? We've already got a sizzle reel for it. They've already been shooting it, so
cool.
I forget when that's supposed to come out. But now I wonder, if she'll be in that movie, and if she wasn't supposed to be in the first place, but now they're wanting to make like a team out of it. Whatever that ends up being, I'm going to assume that it's an all-female team, and I don't know if they'll all have Marvel in, because it could just be Carol and what's her face from WandaVision, Rambeau, thank you. Or it could be the two of them and Miss Marvel.
I assume Miss Marvel will be in it. Otherwise, they could have called it Captain Marvels. I don't know, but maybe
Captain Marvels.
Captain Marvels.
The Marvels.
Marvels, Captain Marvels, and Miss Marvel.
but yeah, I really think that's gotta be because that wasn't as big as they were, or as well liked as they were hoping it would be. Because I talked about this in a stream I did earlier today. I was doing a video game stream, and somebody brought this up, and because everybody wanted to do Captain Logan show before Captain Logan show, and they were like, and I made that point, and they were like, but Cap, that movie made like $1.1 billion. How can you say that Carol's not popular? And I'm like, yeah, everybody went and saw that movie, but like the next one, if it was just her solo film, would really be the telling one, because they because I think people felt obligated to go see that after Infinity War. I think a lot of people assumed that it was going to be necessary to see Endgame, and I think whatever you put out right after Infinity War with Marvel was going to be popular, or people were going to go see because of how big that was. But like merchandise didn't seem to move very well for that. I mean, I guess I'm just talking in the circles that I know, but it just, like, talking to people both in and out of the fandom, like big fandom people versus just casual viewers, I don't hear a lot of people talk about that movie and talk about that character, and it's not a standout. It wasn't like Iron Man, it wasn't like Black Panther. And so, like, on the one hand, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that they're going a different way with it, but this whole time they've been, Marvel has been putting, the Skrulls kind of front and center, and or not front and center, but they keep popping up and stuff, and we're using the stuff that we established in her movie in the 90s to inform a lot of things that are happening now, and we got Rambo right away in the very next thing that we got for MCU on Disney Plus. They had every intention of making, that character really, really important, and I think they might already be seeing that backfiring a little bit. And so they're trying to salvage it in any way they can without coming right out and going, okay, we get it. You guys don't, most of you don't love this character. So at the same time as they're still, acting like that whole thing was a big deal, they're also having to maybe pivot a little bit. That's my read on that. That's my guess.
All right, you want me to start throwing questions at you?
Yeah, I guess I should just real briefly go back to the Superman thing real quick, because I said most of what I had to say about that. But I should also mention that, so like I said, Michael B. Jordan came out recently and said, yeah, they've not come to me. He said, I'm watching like everybody else. I don't know if that means I'm watching the movie like everybody else, or I'm waiting to see what happens. But the assumption now is that Warner's is going for an unknown with that, which is usually what I say with Superman. I think Jordan could have been great as Superman, but it's also so the obvious choice, and I think a lot of people have kind of turned on that, where it's like, don't go with the thing that like everybody knows, and we've seen that guy play so many roles now that it's going to be kind of distracting. So I kind of see both sides of that now. I actually don't totally know how I would vote in that poll, because when the idea of that was first pitched, I think a couple of years ago, we talked on a live show or somewhere about whether or not it would be whether it would be a good thing or a bad thing for a black man to play Superman, and I always said I don't think inherently even Kal-El, even the original Superman, necessarily has to be a white guy. You can handle that really poorly, either direction certainly. But I could see the version where that would really work. I just wish that we got a really good Henry Cavill movie before that happens, because I always thought he was great casting, and I don't think he ever fully really got to play a real Superman. I do really like that this is going to be a more Elseworldsy kind of thing, and they're not making this part of what we have left of the DCEU. It's going to be like Joker, where it's going to do its own thing and be set in a different period. And yeah, with the whole multiversal crossover thing, they could cross over anything they want to at this point after Flash, but this is much more the kind of thing that I would want. So I can't say at this point, DJ, that as much I guess, well, it's too bad that Cavill didn't get to play it first, because at least it's not like replacing Cavill. There's still potential for that or another more traditional Superman, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would like them to do different alternate timelines at the same time. That would be really cool. I always liked Cavill. And I think I would be on the side of definitely getting unknown for this part because it would be distracting to me. Because I've never had that with a Superman before, where it was someone that I already knew or was familiar with going in.
And the other thing we learned is that it's definitely going to be again an African American playing Superman. It's definitely going to be a black director, and they've got a short list, but they haven't gotten anybody yet. And it can't be Coogler because he's doing Black Panther 2. But that's all we know. One of the names on that list apparently is I can't remember his name, but the guy who directed Creed 2. And if you told me that both Creed 1 and 2 were directed by the same guy, I would have believed you. So he would be next on my list. I hope they get that guy.
Cool.
Anyway,
do you want me to?
I'm ready to move on now.
All right. Do you want me to try? Here, let me ask some that are about the topic before we go off, because
the topics.
I've got all the super chats, but I'm gonna ask some about the topic first, and I'll get back to the rest. Michael McAllister, 499. The most surprising thing to me was the lack of a Spider-Man announcement.
Yeah. And we didn't get a Spider-Man announcement really in the last big wave of announcements when we found out about new Disney Plus shows on the horizon and stuff too. And with all the rumors swirling about, you'd think that they would have said something more by now. We've gotten all these official confirmations about actors and characters that still don't feel all that official, and it's weird that we don't have anything. We don't have concept art. We don't have a frame. I guess they don't really give us concept art with Marvel much, but you're right. It's weird that we don't have much of anything. And it's funny because they gave us what little of everything else they have. So we got some things had footage, and then some things had logos, and then some things and then Fantastic Four just had a 4, which is really funny because we already had that. Oh, yeah. DJ, I'm sorry. You made a background for this show, and I totally forgot to use it.
Oh, no worries.
I just realized it. As soon as I thought about the 4, I was like, oh, wait, that 4 should be there. Where is it?
The 4's gone. We lost the 4. Here's one from Super Billy about the Superman thing. $5. Don't touch the 1930s. The 1930s are mine. Also, we already have Val-Zod, Calvin Ellis, and Steel. No need to race swap Kal-El / Clark Kent. It's gimmicky.
I hope it doesn't. It might be very gimmicky. I'm totally with you. I have a wait and see attitude about this. It would be, and I can't be fully consistent about things I've said in the past. Of course, I do my best, but I have said in the past that Superman maybe doesn't have to inherently, with what that character is all about, be a white guy. It could be something else if it was the right actor, and that was the reason you did it. Now, having said that, clearly, we're not just casting, like we're not seeing every kind of person. We've decided this is a black Superman, and I'm not going to make a statement positive or negative about that until I see what it is exactly they're making. I have heard people say, and we had some people really angry about the Coates announcement when that first happened in the comments, and I heard somebody just today say, oh boy, I read some of his Captain America, and I'm really worried about this movie, suggesting that it might be kind of preachy or pandery or what have you. I've not read that run. I don't have an opinion about that yet. If I had read more of his more recent stuff, I would feel some way more about him. And like I've said before, I have liked things that I've read of him, but he is very racially charged, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But you're right. You don't have to do that with Superman, and we already have characters like Superman characters in other universes that do deal with that kind of stuff. I get the reaction of why does it have to be Kal-El? Why does it have to be a race swap? But I want to see what they're doing with it before I make a judgment call about that, I think.
Yeah. Let me see. This is kind of about Marvel. Sped up askew, €20. Older man. Piece of news, but have you heard that Ryan Coogler will produce Wakanda show for Disney Plus? Personally, would love anthology series where each season is about different Black Panther from different eras.
That's a neat idea. I had not heard that.
That's cool.
That would be a really cool way to do that.
Yeah, I heard about that Wakanda show. I wonder if that's still happening because of the movie, or I assume it's still happening. They didn't say anything about it in the announcement. They didn't do any of the shows in the Phase 4 trailer, right? It was just movies.
I
That's interesting.
I'm trying to remember if they mentioned Loki or anything. No, I think it was just movies.
Interesting.
I watched it a couple days ago. I'm not remembering now.
Yeah, I'm not either. But you would think that they would push the shows as part of the phase to be like, you have to watch these. These are important. Like, check these out. I don't.
No, that's a really good point. But I'm trying to remember if because I don't think Miss Marvel was in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Hawkeye's already shooting, and I didn't see anything about Hawkeye in there. Super Billy, $5. Stan's beautiful speech about our common humanity makes me even more anxious about Coates writing Superman. Whoa, this is Marvel and Superman. In one super chat. Here's $5. Just make Monica the lead in the Marvels.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way. And I should have said this. I also could see that that movie leading to that, where the point of the Marvels is to kind of put Carol in the background or get rid of her entirely and move the mantle on. Because a lot of fans have said that they want that. I would be surprised if this is a sudden change they've made because of things people said after WandaVision. If they're moving that swiftly on that.
That's crazy.
But yeah, it's really hard to say what exactly their motivation is for all of that. But am I remembering this wrong? Did we not have a logo for a Captain Marvel 2? Did that not get a date, and then now the name of it has changed? Am I wrong about this?
I don't know, man. There's so many fan logos going around that look almost just as good. Like, there's so many Marvel Fantastic Four logos out there, so we could be seeing anything. I don't know. We could be remembering fan stuff at this point. That's a funny one we'll get to after we're done with the topic. I think we're good. Mr. Roboto says Captain Marvel, like Green Lantern, should belongs in space.
Yeah.
So hopefully that movie. But if Miss Marvel's in it, I don't know. It might be a good bit on Earth. I don't know.
But again, who knows if Miss Marvel's in that movie? I would actually be kind of surprised if she's in that TV show and then right away they put her in a movie with Captain Marvel.
Yeah. And then one more from Super Billy. I think Reggie Jean Page has secretly been cast as the new Black Panther, likely as one of T'Challa's half-brothers. And thoughts on John Watts making Fantastic Four? I
had not heard that. If it's happening secretly, how do we know about it? I'm assuming a leak or something. Yeah, if that's
got the inside scoop.
Yeah, if that's true, I had not heard it. Or if that's a prevalent rumor, yeah, I didn't know about that. That's interesting. I don't love the idea of somebody we haven't seen yet getting the mantle. I would like it. I mean, I know some folks like our buddy the Day Ghost don't like Shuri. I am okay with Shuri getting the mantle if they handle it right, because there's precedent for that in the comics, and I've liked it there. But I also think DJ would be fascinating, and I don't think you would let him hang on to it. I think it would be this movie, and then something would happen. But man, there's a part of me that wants it to be M'Baku. I think it could be so interesting if M'Baku steps in.
I just want like a big Hulk-sized Black Panther. That's amazing.
Whereas it's like I tried to get it last time, and he's gone now, so now I'm gonna sweep in and get it.
He just sneaks off with it. Yeah, I mean, I just feel bad for anyone. Like, if Falcon and Winter Soldier told us anything, it's that whoever is the next Black Panther is gonna be like abused and like attacked online for months, and it's so sad that that's how people react to the stupid things like that. Like that. And that Captain America thing was not even. Sorry.
Are you talking about with Walker or?
Yeah, like how he got like run off of social media and everyone was like hating him just because he's like an actor in a show.
I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, he was like crazy, ridiculed and mocked.
See,
and,
this is why I kind of stay off social media. Like you're wondering why I'm not in the loop and I don't know anything. It's because it's depressing, you guys.
Yeah, I only heard about it because of the Discord, but he was like getting death threats and stuff. I'm like, he's an actor. He's doing this show. He's not actually Captain America, guys. It's so weird.
Jedi Knight says, if Wakanda was a democracy, I'd vote for M'Baku.
And then one from John Ty. I'm surprised that the FF is coming after Guardians 3.
Yeah, I wasn't sure when that was gonna end up happening. Given that all we've had for quite a while is a logo and no other news about that, I figured it was a while off. I wonder if they're farther along on that than they are with Blade, because
No
there's
mention.
been no mention in that, but there's been more talk recently that they've been working behind the scenes on getting that up and going. And I think they don't have a script yet, but they're supposed to have a script soon. So like I wonder if what I'm saying is I wonder if FF has a script already, and if that's why we already have a logo.
Or if they just really, really want to get it into Phase 4 because it's 4.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's a good call. And we had that announcement. If it's see when they do a thing like this where they put out a trailer and they show us a bunch of logos, I think about other things we know, and I'm like, was all this real news and totally confirmed? Like the thing with the mutants, like is that really what they're calling the next X movie? I'm pretty sure that was confirmed, but then we don't have a logo for that yet or a date. So like I don't know for sure. I'm pretty sure that that's still definitely what they're doing, what they're calling that. But yeah, is it interesting to you that they're trying to rush FF out before? I mean, I say rush, but I mean it's going to be a couple of years, but that they're trying to do that before anything X-Men.
I don't know. I could see them. I could see Marvel going more for Fantastic Four because X-Men was such a big thing. They want to give that a little more time before to separate it from the giant franchise that it was.
Senior Nerd says that it's not true what you're saying about Wyatt Russell because he doesn't have any social media account in the first place.
I mean, I don't know. Other people in the chat are saying he got death threats, so I don't know how he received these death threats. Was it just through the mail, like snail mail?
Maybe he didn't. Maybe received is a strong word. Maybe people just made them in the ether, and
Yeah.
like, he doesn't have a thing to receive them. It's just enough people said it that they're like, "Oh, he's getting death threats." Because I mean,
I just know he
that's
was
still a
hated
death
for
threat,
no reason.
certainly, and that's not. I mean, obviously that's awful, but
Yeah, obviously he's gonna hear about it if you put it on the internet and it's like all the news channels. He's gonna hear about it.
so weird though. Like he was supposed to be an antagonistic character, and like we'll talk
That's
about
the
this.
point. Yeah.
We'll talk about this on Sunday. I'm not wholly happy with what happened with him, and I'm very confused about some things with the ending. But like to get angry with the actor, first of all, just for like playing whatever he's playing, like it's not like he walked in and wrote the script. Like that's very silly. Like, oh no, this guy who doesn't deserve the mantle got the yeah. That's the idea. Like.
That's the
Do
story,
you guys not know the
guys.
difference between reality and fiction? Like, what is happening?
It's like that Friends episode where that woman thinks Joey Tribbiani is actually Dr. Drake Ramore. Anyway, no one gets our old 90s references. Super Billy, Eternals looks great. Please don't be Captain Marvel. Super Billy is throwing shade this evening. I love it.
Hey, look, you know what? He's just speaking his mind, which I always respect and admire. I agree with that. I mean, I don't love Captain Marvel, so sure. I hope more things aren't, totally like that, lukewarm and not all that interesting. But with
let's not strive for mediocre. Let's at least strive for something.
yeah.
Better.
It looks like they're embracing the fantasy of that all, and we haven't seen much yet. But what little glimpse we're getting of the flavor of that, it really feels potentially new and fresh and different. So,
What About in the chat is disagreeing with you, Super Billy. He says Eternals looks like a CW production.
I mean, I don't think we've seen enough yet where I can totally agree with that yet, but.
All right, that is all the super chats I have about the topic. Let me jump back.
I hope it's not. I hope it doesn't end up. Wouldn't that be really sad if it ended up being like Inhumans, where like Inhumans was supposed to get a big budget movie, and then they axed that and gave it a TV show, but put the pilot in IMAX, and it was the worst, and it looked like it was made with $5.50. And then imagine Eternals comes out, and it looks like Inhumans the TV show, but it is a allegedly big budget movie and put in the theaters. That would just be the saddest state of affairs.
Interesting. That would be terrible. It has a good, like Connor just mentioned, and I was excited about this too. Eternals visually looks cool. Chloe Zhao's naturalistic lighting and cinematography stands out. She just won for Best Cinematography at the Oscars, and her movie won Best Picture, so hopefully at least looks cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what the story's like, but it should look good.
Yeah, you can't always, and very often you can't trust that means anything with, a big mainstream, especially Marvel production, because, very often a director will come in and because they did some great indie film and then it just looks like more of the same, or, because, I mean, everybody that works at Marvel now describes it as a well-oiled machine, and you don't come into that and get to, unless, I mean, I guess it kind of depends, because you have. I was gonna say maybe it depends on your clout and stuff. Like, obviously, when Gunn came in and did Guardians, that was, more of a particular like flair and style of a unique director. But even still, it's still very mainstream looking, right? Like, I've seen his other movies and they don't look like that. And some people are able to navigate that and like break through it to some degree more than others, like Shane Black was compromised quite a bit with Iron Man 3 and didn't get to make exactly what he wanted to. And I think, and I mean, I like that movie a lot, but like, you listen to the commentary and some of the things that they were trying to, some of the ideas and things they were trying to get in that movie that they couldn't, partly because of time, partly because of other things. Some of it might have had to do with, studio intervention. I don't know. And you realize that should have been an even cooler movie and more thought-provoking movie even than it was. And so when I'm just saying, when I hear like, oh, Oscar, winning director, I'm like, well, we saw what happened when like a brilliant Shakespearean, director and actor did Thor. Like, it did not matter that they had that guy doing that movie.
Yeah, and they have been letting some people have more free reign recently. Unfortunately, it's been two movies that I really didn't like, but Ragnarok and Guardians 2 both actually looked a little different than most Marvel movies.
That's true.
Especially color grading wise. Usually all the color grading in all Marvel movies looks exactly the same. It's like grayish blue, but those two movies looked a little different. So hopefully Eternals comes out like that. Jedi Knight in a very different direction. $2 super chat.
So what should be a musical? Into the grass.
He just says, so what should be a musical that isn't already? I noticed that you started a musical channel in the Discord. Was that you or someone else?
No, I did not do that.
Okay. Well, they've been talking about musicals in the Discord, so I'm assuming this is where this came from.
Oh my God.
Also, Jedi Knight had a hilarious comment earlier where he said Inhumans was funded by here's $5.
That's all they needed. They just needed it. Like, they didn't even need the number of super chats that here's $5 often gives in a single evening. Just the one and a half. So yeah, something that how many rooms? How many different
there's a bunch
like chats do we have going on now in the main Geekvolution Discord? I haven't looked at it in a few days. I gotta go in there.
It's a challenge to stay up to date. I can't even do it anymore. They're talking about so many things.
I may have to go in there and clean house a little bit. I'm gonna need to see how many we have and what that looks like right now. I've been busy, guys. I apologize. I'm just letting that whole thing go. No, I've got guys in there running it for me, and they're doing a great job. Allegedly, I need to go look and see how many rooms.
23.
23. Okay, well.
Plus the rules, but that's not really one.
Yeah, that doesn't count. Well, thanks for counting that. I really appreciate it. So something that has not been made into a musical.
Add fact checker to my list of nomenclature.
So are we talking about like what do you think he means, DJ? Like
I don't know if he means movie or like
movie
Broadway
that already exists that would be fun as a musical, or just a property that, like, a book or a comic or a what have you, turn it into a musical.
He just says what. That's all
okay.
That's all I have. What should be a musical that's not already?
So, the first thing that comes to my mind is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I think you could make a wonderful musical out of that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Jeez, I don't even know. I have to think about this question. That's a hard one. So vague. There's no parameters. I need parameters in my life.
I really want to, and like, I don't know anything about ballet, so I can't do this, but I really want somebody to make, and like, 16 people would care about this, but if you have ever, and I've talked about this on the channel before, this is one of my favorite video games, but if you've ever played Nights into Dreams on the Sega Saturn, that would make a beautiful stage ballet, because that character already moves like a ballerina and is wearing basically like a ballerina costume, the spandex, and even has what kind of, I don't know, look like almost ballet shoes. But yeah, it would be really cool to do a ballet about a character that flies, where the dancing with that character insinuates flight. I think that could be so cool. And there's a lot of music in that game that sounds like ballet music to me.
Professor Zoom says BVS musical. That would be
BVS could be an opera, because it's already so insanely melodramatic. Like opera is the way to go with that.
Yeah, that would be something. Venom the musical in the style of Hamilton, says Alex Barron, which sounds amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. Thanks for the question, Jedi Knight. Josh Galisano, Cap, considering you are dismayed by current Star Trek, if you were given the opportunity, what? There's that word again.
What
would you write for Star Trek?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What would you write for Star Trek? Where would you take it?
So I've always, I'm a broken record, but this has come up before. I've always said that I really wish that Discovery could have been what it sounded like Fuller maybe wanted in the first place, if this is true, and it be an anthology thing. I have read that that's actually what he pitched initially, but it would be fun to just jump around and fill in some history gaps with things that we know about but have never dramatized. I just want Star Trek miniseries at this point, and I mean, it would also be nice to have a more episodic show like Star Trek used to be, and apparently that's what Strange New Worlds is finally going to do. But of course, I don't trust the producers and writers that they're going to put on that show to make a good show. But it's nice that they're finally, it sounds like, learning some lessons. It doesn't mean that it'll necessarily be good, but they're like, oh, people actually want maybe a lighthearted and hopeful Star Trek show, and people are kind of tired of us just doing big bads over a whole season with a super convoluted plot that never comes together at the end. Maybe we'll just tell stories. Yeah, it took you guys 4 years to figure that out, and I'm sure it. Obviously, I want that to be good, but I don't think they have a lot of real talented writers there, and I don't expect that to be good. But anyway, I mean, I would love something like Strange New Worlds, what it sounds like they're going to make, except good. So hopefully, but I don't trust any of that. There's no reason for me to after Picard, especially. But anyway, an anthology show that maybe starts with the Romulan War for the 22nd century. I've always said that. That's not a thing that you would do over several seasons, but could be a wonderful miniseries. It was almost a trilogy of films before the Abrams film happened, which sounded fantastic. And then it would be cool to see a full-on, Klingon season. Do these seasons in like 8 or 10 episodes, Disney Plus length, and then you could do, just a whole adventure that's just, Klingons in the 24th century, maybe. At this point, I don't care about a Mirror Universe show, because we sort of did that poorly in Discovery. But those are the first two things I would do if I was doing, seasons of Star Trek, trying to jump around and show us things that we've never really delved into too terribly much outside of a Starfleet crew. And then I don't know what else you do with a Starfleet crew necessarily. I would have to kind of kick it around a little bit. I mean, it'd be fun to do a Voyager Time Fleet thing, but it would be difficult to do that and not just be a big joke like it was in that show.
Just got another musical question, so we'll get to that in a few minutes.
Sure.
Logan died, 499. A lot of people aren't caring for Falcon and Winter Soldier. How did you feel about it in the end?
So we're going to talk about that on Sunday. People all day long have been asking me about this, and I just don't want to talk about it yet.
The man's trying to take pictures of Pokemon, and you're asking him about Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh, it drove Jason crazy when we would turn off the camera. He was like, Dad, I thought we were just going to take pictures of Pokemon.
Poor guy. Poor kid.
Pokemon Snap. Nobody wants to talk about this. I was like, well, on the other hand, it would have been a very quiet video if those weren't the questions. So, I'm doing my rewatch of that season right now, and I really don't want to talk about it until I'm finished rewatching it. I have huge reservations about it. I think there's certainly stuff that doesn't come together by the end. I think there's a lot of things that kind of come out of nowhere. The show is not at the end about what I thought it was about at the beginning. And it's kind of all over the place. I guess I will say my big takeaway, just from the experience of it, is it feels like almost a different show every episode. It's very strange. But we'll talk about it on Sunday, because I'm feeling better about some things and worse about some other things. So I have lots of thoughts, and we'll do that on Sunday. So 9 Central, live Sunday night. It's going to be at least me and Connor in Austin. Dan's going to try to be there, but I'm not sure if he can make it yet. So stay tuned.
I will certainly be not there because I can't muster up the gumption to watch it, man. I've only been
really?
I'm still 2 episodes in. I can't get excited about it. I don't know why. Like,
I was gonna say, you're welcome to be there, but I know you haven't finished it.
WandaVision, I was there every week, man. I was into it, but I don't know. I just can't get into it, which is weird because Captain America is my favorite character in the MCU.
It's really strange it turned out the way it did, because that should have been the easiest one to make.
That's what I
never
think.
in my wildest dreams occurred to me that would be one that they, that I would walk away from and feel weird about. Like,
yeah, that's one of the characters they understood the most. I don't know, at least the legacy of it.
Yeah. None of the Captain America stuff has been bad. No, it was a really weird experience.
Interesting. I'm gonna try to get to it eventually. Mr. Roboto, when I think Smallville, I think Evolution, DJ. There's no comma. I'm assuming that's direct address. I don't think he thinks of me because I'm not the Smallville guy. But yeah,
he's just talking to you and only you in that comment. He's just like, so DJ, don't read this out loud. I just want you to know, when I think Smallville, I think Evolution. Well, it's a thing that I've done a lot of content on over the years, and I'm sure I've introduced some people to it. I'm not saying that guy necessarily, but I know there have probably been folks, just because when I was doing a lot of Smallville content, we're thinking, well, I'll check that out. I didn't care before, but maybe it'll be fun to listen to this guy talk about it. So that's not.
I'm sure there's many people that only know about it through you talking about it that actually haven't gone back to it.
That have never looked at it. Yeah.
Yeah,
especially younger people. That it hasn't been on much in their lifetime, or when they were old enough to care about TV.
Yeah,
because it's 20 years old now, and at the point that it ended,
crazy.
It's not like there were a lot of people watching it.
That's crazy. That's sad. That ended the year I graduated high school. Makes me feel old. Mr. Roboto, another one for Mr. Roboto, not directly addressed to me, which makes me sad, but you are now Resurrection Man in real life. What do you do?
That's a double-edged sword right there, man. I guess it depends on what is going on in my life and how, what's the word I'm looking for? Dramatic things are, because how much of life and death situations I find myself in all the time. Because the only reason you would use that ability, Resurrection Man's power, is he dies, comes back to life, and he always gets a new superpower. But he, very much feels however he dies, just like if you really died. So it would be really traumatic every time, and it would be horrible. And the only reason that I would keep killing myself on purpose to get superpowers is if I really needed them. And you also don't know what powers you're about to get. So it could be something that's that makes your life horrible to live through, because a lot of powers are no fun to have, and are curses before they're anything, before they're blessings. So in short, if I was Resurrection Man in my life the way my life is, and I'm not saying my life is boring, but I'm not like a superhero or a spy or a double agent or anything. So I think my life would just be exactly the way it is, and then when I got old and I died, I would come back to life with a superpower and be like, oh, I can't actually die, okay. And that's when it would get weird. I might even live my whole life before I realized that I was Resurrection Man.
Has there ever been a story where Resurrection Man gets a power that makes him really, really hard to kill, and it's about him trying to kill himself to get rid of this power, and he can't?
I think that does happen, because I'm pretty sure there's one where he gets where he turns into kind of pure energy, and what do you do with that?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I need to go
That'd be
back and
interesting.
reread that at some point. And I've never, I've talked about it over the years as a thing I like, but it's been a long time since I've read it, so I'm not remembering a lot, and I've never reviewed it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's really when it sticks with you is when you review something, or especially analyze it.
Exactly.
5590ERS, does a TV show or movie based on a book spoil the book / books?
Do you mean if it's?
I
mean,
guess
doesn't
if
it
it's good
depend
or
on
bad.
quality, or yeah, like just
I mean,
by
sometimes
virtue
if it's good and
by
it's
virtue
nothing
of it
like the book.
existing? Do you just mean
I
like
mean,
it might spoil it because then people aren't going to bother reading the book, and like now that's the mainstream version that everybody knows, and like that's
yeah,
the material now?
I don't know what he means by spoil. Does he mean like the traditional use of the word spoil, or does he mean like our current connotation of spoil? Because
Yeah,
obviously it would spoil
I'm
the
sure he
book
doesn't
if
mean that. Yeah, that's kind of obvious, but it's such a broad question. I'm not sure how to answer it. Like for me, it would just depend on kind of the quality. And I don't know, like if somebody makes a movie of a book that I love and the movie's terrible, it doesn't hurt the book for me, but it might hurt my feelings that that's the thing people associate with it now. Like A
yeah.
Wrinkle in Time. When people think about that book series now, they're going to think about that horrid movie, and that's unfortunate. Because a lot of people think of that now as what Wrinkle in Time is, even if they haven't watched it. A lot of people hear that now and they go, "Oh, that's that thing that a lot of people didn't like and was kind of polarizing." And they're also gonna think, and I'm sorry for putting it like this, but like people made a big deal out of that being a black movie, and so now it's Wrinkle in Time is like a racial thing, and it's like, and I didn't have a problem with the casting in that movie. That's not the issue with it. It's just not a good movie. But a lot of people, in hindsight, it sounded like we're saying like, well, if you didn't like it, who cares? 'Cause, it was that. And I think other people felt this way too. But there was that Brie Larson quote, right? Like if you don't, I don't care what a white guy critic says about this movie because it wasn't made for him. I think a lot of people are just thinking about that whole thing, the politics of it, and like Wrinkle in Time had nothing to do with any of that, and it was kind of for everybody. And I don't like this idea that like now it's this thing that's that people think of as for this smaller group of people, even if it isn't really that. So that happens sometimes where it's just things get taken out of context and it becomes culturally a different thing than it was. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and also, I mean, that can happen even if it's really good too. Like that happens to me sometimes. You're a big fan of something, and then the adaptation of it gets super popular, but it's not really anything in line with the book. So everyone thinks that's what that thing is, and it's kind of like the Raimi Spider-Man, and then it's different. You don't feel like it was actually true to the spirit of the character or the story, but that's what everyone knows it as now. So you don't really have an opinion anymore because film has much more of an impact than books in this country. So
Yeah.
that can also suck.
Which is unfortunate. I think people have the assumption that it's like that all over the world, and it's not. You go to Germany, and there's bookstores everywhere. Like, people are still reading in physical books. But, like, this is probably true of Game of Thrones. Like, that's a thing that I don't have any, I don't have a dog in that fight because I haven't
Everyone I've met
watched any of that.
really likes the books and the show for that.
Right,
Everyone
but what
that
I
I've
mean is, what is going to happen if Martin ever finally finishes those after that show had such a hated ending? Like, do more people read it because of that? Is it more popular because of that, or do people just move on and they don't care anymore because that show was so hated by the end? I'm actually not sure which way that goes.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure the diehard fans that have read the books obviously will read it, but I don't even know if 6 seasons of a show is enough to get people that don't read books to read the books. But that specifically, I do know a lot of people that went back and read the books after they started the show, so maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. And then in that case, it spoils the show.
Yeah. Sped of Askew. If DS9, VOI, and ENT were all given a movie after they ended, what would be your dream pitch for each? And if TNG did a direct tie-in movie for the... I'll do that one second, because that's a whole...
Dream pitch for what now? DS9 and... What are we talking about?
DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise were all given a movie after they ended.
After the end, yeah. Well, it's hard, with DS9, it's hard not to say I'd love something close to the pitch that the writers from that show did in the mock writer's room in the DS9 documentary because it's kind of brilliant. Their ideas, they had spoilers for that documentary, but they brought in Ira Stephen Bear and a lot of the other writers from that show. Well, actually, he made the movie, but names are escaping me now. But they had like I think 5 of the writers from that show that were in that writers room, and they pitched this really cool like 20 years later thing where they had like Bashir running Section 31, which was a super interesting idea. And there was this whole conspiracy to try to get Bajor to finally join the Federation. Like, it sounded awesome. So, obviously right after that show ended, they wouldn't have thought of some of that stuff. But now that I've heard a great pitch for a sequel to DS9, that's what I would want. Voyager, I've always wanted to see just some of the best characters in that show on another starship mixed with good characters from TNG and DS9. So I don't know what exactly that looks like, but that's what I would want. I wouldn't like if you went to movies after Voyager, I wouldn't want a Voyager movie. I would want like a Voyager TNG DS9 movie, I think. And then Enterprise would have to be the Romulan War, because we were right there. I mean, it was just a few years after that, and that's where the books went, right after that. So I wouldn't want that over the unrelated trilogy we almost had, but if you did an Enterprise movie, that's probably what I would want from it. And that almost happened, too. There was a lot of talk about an Enterprise movie.
And then the second part was, if TNG did a direct tie-in movie for the Dominion War, what would be your dream pitch for that?
Man, I don't know right off. I would have to give that some thought, but that would have been really cool if we did that. We just shied away from too much crossover stuff back then because everything was supposed to be episodic, and you were supposed to have to, tune into everything in order to appreciate what was happening next. Like, the studio was really worried about that, so that never would have happened. But I would have loved it. Boy, I would have to think long and hard about that. Because I don't know. I mean, it would be cool to. It'd be cool if it was like a Riker-led thing and not Picard. Like, Picard's got something else that he's in the middle of, and he's maybe got the Enterprise, and Riker takes like a field commission for something else. It would also actually be really cool if you came up with some excuse to break Thomas Riker out of prison, and you had Thomas Riker involved in it for some reason, because he was like a. I mean, he was Will Riker, but different. I mean, he was a really good pilot and tactician. It would have been neat if he was involved in the Dominion War, and also if we did something with because I don't know, I'm a little rusty on my Trek right now, but if memory serves, the Dominion War was already happening, I think, by the time we got rid of the Maquis. So it would be cool to see a thing where that actually happens, or get like the remnants of the Maquis right after that. 6 people will care about this, but anyway.
No, I was going to say, thanks. Two guys tonight giving us Star Trek questions. I know Cap loves talking Star Trek, so thanks. 2 Trekkies in the audience. I'm sure there's more, but 2 for super.
Thanks for this. That was a super neat idea.
Yeah, those are really good questions. TH1, who should be the villain of Fantastic Four?
So this has come up a lot lately. I've answered this at least twice already, but I still want Galactus first, to open up the more of the cosmic nature of MCU, and it's been so weird to not have Galactus in the middle of all the cosmic stuff that we've been doing with Guardians and then Captain Marvel, etc. So I do hope they start with Galactus, and I liked the idea. I just said this the other day, but I'll repeat it real quick. I liked the idea of let's say that the Avengers are broken up, or there's just kind of auxiliary members, or there aren't enough of them together right now, and when Galactus shows up, that's when the Fantastic Four finally present themselves, and they haven't been around for whatever reason, but now they're here, and we need them specifically to deal with Galactus, be it because they're from another universe or whatever it is, but where it's like, this is a threat that's so crazy and out of nowhere, because yeah, Thanos, we were trying to prevent him from doing a thing, but Galactus is here already. Thanos didn't come to Earth. He sent some minions here, but like, what if something like Galactus just shows up on our doorstep?
Yeah. You mentioning the
Oh, that's right. Thanks, Busted Sim. He said the Dominion killed the Maquis after aligning with the Cardassians. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I thought it was it was around or right after the Dominion War started. Go ahead. Sorry.
I have a question. This is not in the super chats. This is a DJ question, but I have to ask you real quick before I forget. You mentioning the Galactus story and like we have mutants coming in the MCU now. It's all reminding me of Marvels, and I have to ask you: do you think Marvel could ever make a Marvels film without it seeming so pat yourself on the backy, like just because it would be going through all the stuff that happened in this universe from a normal guy's perspective, which I think could be super cool because we could get stuff that we didn't see in the movies the first time around. But would that be too self-referential again after Endgame? I mean, it have to be down the line.
After Endgame, it's harder. I would want to wait another 10 years before we did that. I think Marvels could
after
be
for a while.
You'd have obviously so much stuff would be in the background that I don't even think you'd have to show too much. Like I think you could.
I would want it to, yeah.
I think you could do it as a Disney Plus show. I think it would be better that way than
yeah, that'd be cool.
Like maybe make it like the story of the. And Marvels is one of my favorite things. Make it the story of the life of a journalist who's been covering all this stuff since it began. Yeah, that's a really cool idea. I think that story is harder to pull off it not being a period piece. And obviously it couldn't be.
Because he wouldn't know anything about Captain America. Like, he could just he would know some stuff about public stuff about Captain America, but he wouldn't know anything about Ant-Man or Captain Marvel or anything.
But yeah, I mean, the period nature of that piece was
that's
part
why I
of
like
the was part of the appeal of it. Yeah, and I like all the wartime stuff. And like I don't want to say rose-tinted glasses because I don't think it quite had that. Like I don't think it was super idealized, but it was really heightened in the art with what Alex Ross did with that.
Yeah, I just think it would be super gutsy of them to make just like a drama with like no action, just like a family drama with this guy. Like that would be so wonderful. Cool of them if they could pull that off.
They've been doing a lot of Marvel's follow-ups in comics lately, and I keep trying to read them, but they're just so totally different that it seems like they're just kind of capitalizing on the name and using Alex Ross covers. Like there's one that came out earlier this year or last year that I'm not sure when it came out, but I was trying to read it in digital the other day, and I read a page, and I was just like, I might come back to this, but I can't get into it. That's just called Marvel. Like a 6-issue mini. It's the same. It's the same logo, but it's not Marvel. It's
just one
Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the logos that I like to work on, where you can just drop a letter and keep it all the same. All right, John Ty. I can't believe WB is making a Zatanna movie.
I mean, we'll see if they actually make a Zatanna movie, because they announce things all the time, and I never believe.
Stop announcing things, WB.
Exactly. Nothing surprises me anymore with them. So like when they said, "Oh, we're making a Zatanna movie," I'm like, okay. I mean, that could be really cool if they actually make it, but I don't trust anything. It would be cool to start there and then maybe do a more comic accurate Constantine thing and a couple of other things. There is supposed to be a Constantine 2 now, I guess. We talked about that a few months ago now. So that probably wouldn't happen, but if you did a Dr. Fate and a few other things, and then eventually you could come into Justice League Dark, and there was supposed to be a Justice League Dark movie at some point. Yeah. Or are they still talking about that? Is that one of the Abrams things? Is that a thing? Is that an HBO Max thing now, or is that just a movie?
I was gonna say HBO Max is the best thing for Warner Brothers because some of the stuff they keep announcing might actually happen now because they have a place to put it for sure. Theaters, yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm not against this Zatanna movie. I'll believe it when I see it, when that actually happens. And then the question is always, is it its own thing? Is it gonna be part of the pseudo DCEU we have now?
Sorry, Professor Zoom 21. I can't believe WB. Period.
Okay, how many super chats do we have left? Because we're over an hour now.
10?
Ooh, is it that many? Okay, let's see what we can do over a few minutes, and then I'm gonna have to call it quits tonight, and we'll table the rest of these for next show if we have to.
Great questions, guys, tonight.
Yeah. I've been kind of long-winded. I apologize. I spent too long on the lead-in topics, but we had two, and I couldn't help it. I had to talk about the Superman thing as well.
I derailed us with the Marvels thing that I shouldn't have done.
TH1. No problem.
I just discovered the Spider. Here we go. Back to musicals. He just discovered the Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark musical. What would you have done to make it successful? Great show tonight, guys. You rock.
Oh, thanks, man. Tom, I would have to see it first. Like, I know it was supposed to be bad. I never actually got to see it because there wasn't a filmed version, there wasn't a movie version. So I I haven't seen any bootleg thing. I've never listened to the soundtrack. I've listened to a couple of songs because I think didn't Bono do that soundtrack, or at least some songs from it? I can't remember. I've heard a little bit of stuff from that, and it seemed okay. But yeah, I mean, I would have to see what they did before I could say what I think they ought to do. I don't know how you make a superhero musical on stage.
I don't know. I mean, I think what you did with it is about as good as you can. It looks, everything I've seen from it looks like a stage show at like a theme park, because that's what they look like. Superheroes jumping around on trampolines and swinging on ropes. I don't know what else you do with it. But yeah, I don't know, Tom. We are not the people to ask to make a Spider. I don't know if there are people to ask to make a Spider-Man musical. That
I can sit around for 5 minutes and try to come up with a pitch, but I'm not going to. I don't know. I mean, I think Spider-Man makes more sense to go for a musical than a lot of other things, because there's a lot of things about that story that kind of scream Broadway in a weird way in the first place. You know what I mean? Because it's a teen drama, and the responsibility message seems like a thing that's in high school drama and all that, relationship stuff. It seems really easy to translate that to a stage. And the question is just, what does it sound like? What are the songs, and how much action do you attempt to put in it? But you'd want it to be a more Peter Parker centered thing than a Spider-Man centered thing, I would think.
I would just like all of Spider-Man's songs to actually be sung through the mask, so it all sounds muffled and nobody can understand what he's saying. Mr. Roboto, $2. Cap. I'd do a Starfleet Academy on Fallen Cardassia.
Starfleet Academy on Fallen Cardassia? Why would Starfleet Academy be on Cardassia? Or does he mean or Fallen Cardassia? Mr. Roboto, you gotta check your super chats before you put them in, buddy. Yeah, an aftermath of what happens with Cardassia and Bajor after the Dominion War could be absolutely fascinating. And wouldn't it be really interesting to have a Damar-led show? You have because he takes over Cardassia at the end of that show. Imagine you have a character that starts off as a henchman to the bad guy, essentially. He's Ducat's right-hand man, and he's supposed to get one line of dialogue ever, and he goes all the way from that to what he is at the end of DS9, where he's kind of fascinating, to getting his own TV show. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, I would make that all about Damar. I'd do a Damar character piece if I did that. And Starfleet Academy is a thing that has almost happened at least once. That's what Star Trek VI was originally supposed to be, and we sort of halfway did it, but not really, with Star Trek 09. So yeah, I mean, you definitely could do some kind of Starfleet Academy thing, I guess, but I would want to see some more good space drama before we got there.
Spit of Askew.
Damar died? I thought Damar led Cardassia at the end. It's been a long time since I've seen the end of that show, and I've always felt weird about the last episode of DS9 in certain ways. So did he really? Am I remembering this wrong? I thought he was leading Cardassia at the end of that. Whatever. See, I shouldn't talk about Star Trek right now. When I'm not regularly doing a show on Star Trek, I'm not watching Star Trek. So
cut him some slack, Spit of Askew. He's
don't cut me slack. I'm an idiot if I'm remembering that right. He did die. Okay, whatever. I'm forgetting that. See, now I wish we'd ended the show 5 minutes ago now.
We'll just cut that part out with YouTube afterwards. Well, this will change your this will get you in a different mindset. Spit of Askew, if you were part of a caveman tribe, would you rather be a hunter? Now that you said,
I'm remembering it. I got the scene in my head now. God.
It's all good. I
quit. I don't want to do this anymore.
You've broken Captain Logan, Spit of Askew.
You broke me over Damar. Somebody just went, yeah, too bad Damar died. It's a great idea, Cap. Except he's a dead person.
No, guys, he'll explain that in his film pitch. He's gonna come back. He didn't really die. It's okay.
It's a whole thing, yeah. And I promise to do it better than Picard surviving as a 96-year-old robot man. No, you don't have to apologize. I'm the idiot that said it. Anyway, go ahead, DJ.
All right. Sped of Askew. Back again to not shame you about Star Wars, but to ask you a very random question. That wasn't
Star Wars. That was Star
Trek. Gosh. It's late, guys. We're both losing it. If you were part of the caveman tribe, would you rather be hunters or gatherers?
Definitely gatherers. I don't think
gatherers.
I can kill things. Yeah, I don't think I'd be capable of that.
I don't know. I mean, maybe in the moment I could kill a woolly mammoth, but I'm pretty sure I would be gathering for the tribe.
The people that pointed out that DeMar died are like apologizing and really sad. No, I'm glad you guys told me. I would feel much more like an idiot if I found out about it after the show. Now I gotta go back and just binge DS9 again, apparently.
Yeah, he'd just be going along his merry life thinking DeMar was alive, like a goof.
That wasn't DeMar, it was just a changeling that died. Yeah, that would be the easy way to do it, right? Or you don't make it a changeling, you say that for some reason they cloned DeMar, like a Wayoon clone. Retroactively, we find out there were like 4 DeMars. I'm sorry, good.
Oh, here we go with the heavy one. Logan Dodd, has the future and popularity of the MCU ever been more critical than right now?
I mean, I don't know entirely what that means.
He's got a new leg.
Critical to the MCU itself. I mean, I think we're at a potential turning point right now, sure, if that's what you're getting at. I think the MCU really does have a chance at losing a lot of people here pretty soon if they don't make some of the right moves. I think the Disney Plus shows are losing people, and I think that that could... like, that whole thing could have been a mistake, and down the road we could find ourselves not seeing as much of that and it just being movie-sided. Pardon me, again. Wouldn't it be crazy if there was so much of a backlash to like, and I'm saying down the road, depending on how some of the rest of them go, wouldn't it be crazy if there was such a backlash to the Disney Plus shows that they like retroactively retconned them like we did the Netflix shows? And I realize that with Netflix that happened for different reasons, but like, and with S.H.I.E.L.D. too. But wouldn't it be really funny if it just got to the point where we can't trust even the same like the side Studio. Making the stuff that, like, if it's on TV, it's just not going to count eventually. Okay, it's just not going to count. But I think Loki really has to stick the landing, because for a lot of people that's going to be a bridge too far. That's going to be 3 in a row that they wasted their time with, and I'm sure not everybody feels that way. And I know WandaVision was polarizing before it was hated, but like I know at least, I don't even want to say half, but a good number of people that watched WandaVision and Captain America, I keep doing that, Falcon Winter Soldier, have not been happy with either of those shows, and like, it's going to be a 3 strikes you're out kind of situation. I'm also hearing a lot of, God, that's like 4 movies in a row, with the announcement that the trailer with the Thor: Love and Thunder and the Wakanda movie and all that. You're like, that's like 4 or 5 movies in a row that I just don't care about. I just don't even want to see. So yeah, I mean, I do think we're sitting at a crossroads right now. I think there's a chance that they're going to lose a lot of the goodwill that they have right now, and that people aren't going, that even some of the more casual viewers aren't going to see them as being able to, like, doing no wrong as they do right now. And I think you could end up in kind of an Arrowverse situation. Maybe not to that extent. I think it would take a lot before we quite got there, but I think there's already some folks that feel like we either have already jumped the shark or it looks like we're about to go there.
Yeah, just some of the choices. They're in a hard position right now. I mean, Eternals and Shang-Chi have to be like amazing to get the kind of numbers that normal viewers, numbers of normal viewers, because those are not going to draw anybody in. It's
critical in the sense that before you had some tentpole franchises that were always going to, unless they were just like the worst things ever or went off in a totally different direction from what they had been, that were going to keep floating the that universe. I almost said franchise, but it's multiple franchises. Now you don't have your Iron Man. Now you don't have your Captain America. So there's not a lot to lean on like they had before necessarily. So I mean, they need Mouth of Madness to be a big deal. They need Shang-Chi to really work. So
Super Billy, We're never getting another Hulk solo film, are we?
I mean, I never want to say never. Nothing surprises me anymore. I think it is really funny that Marvel's, because of the buyout, got the rights back to everything except pretty much except for distribution for a Hulk movie. I think that's really funny.
I don't know why that is either. Like, there hasn't been a Hulk. Like, no one's. Why has that not lapsed?
I
No
don't know.
one's making movies to return that. It's so weird.
I don't know what the contract looks like,
It's got to be like
so it's really hard to say. But yeah, who knows? Maybe someday. I don't know. But DJ and I keep lamenting how we're not happy with what they've done with Banner in the last few movies, anyways. So like, I don't want one right now.
I don't. Well, I'm glad we haven't had one with this guy, but with this character, if anything, the She-Hulk show gets big, and then they do like a She-Hulk Hulk movie. Josh Galisano, what do y'all want the next Ramones song to be for No Way Home? I want Beat on the Brat.
I don't know the Ramones well enough to make a snappy call on that right now, but that's funny.
It's a good question. Another thing, people are talking about the Discord, so if you haven't
okay.
heard about that, Josh, go talk to people in there. Maniac Madness 11, at what age were you when you discovered that your parents didn't have the answers to everything in life?
Man, I gotta say pretty early. And I don't want to get real personal here, but my parents divorced when I was real little, and I say real little. I was between 6 and 7, and that was a real shattering disillusionment. I don't want to throw shade at my parents or throw anybody under the bus, but yeah, I started questioning whether they were the gods I thought they were. Absolutely.
Wow.
That's all I want to say about that. It was definitely around when my folks divorced, though.
Spedivascu, one more Trek question. You sure you want to ask this guy? Should
I don't want to answer it right now. I'm going to assume that I don't know anything that I think I know about Star Trek now after that whole thing.
Should Bashir / Garrick been the first
Star Trek gay couple? Man, I can't believe you're asking me that. Both actors wanted it to happen. Writers were open to it, but the studio told them not to. Also, your favorite Garrick quote.
Wow, I said those names correctly.
That was good job. That was the first in the DS9 documentary. They have a section about that, and that was the first I had ever heard of that, and it blew my mind. That makes me think that the Zial thing with Garrick was kind of forced on them because fans were seeing some innuendo that maybe those characters were gay, or at least Garrick was. I don't see it with Bashir. I don't see Bashir as a gay man. He hit the hot so hard for Jadzia at the beginning of that show, and then for Ezri at the end. I don't see it. So but yeah, that blew my mind. That was the first I'd heard of that. And then, I talked to some other Trek fans after that, other friends of mine that were like, oh yeah, Garrick was obviously supposed to be a gay guy. I never got that. Going back and looking at it now, I guess I can kind of see it, but I never would have thought of it. I don't agree that it should have been Bashir and Garrick, because you would have been kind of retconning Bashir earlier, unless you just took the cop out of, well, he's bi, he swings both ways. Maybe, I guess, but that clearly wasn't the point at the beginning. That's kind of a Willow situation from Buffy, and whatever you think about that. So I don't know. Knee-jerk reaction, I would have seen that as kind of forced, maybe. I guess it depends on how they handled it, because I don't want to give too much away about DS9, but there's a huge retcon with Bashir that's the best thing we ever did with him. So I don't know, maybe. And then best Garrett quote. Oh, I'm just not in the right headspace for it right now. I'll have to get back to you. I'll have to think about it. Garrett's not a character I think of in a one-liner kind of. I mean, he's had great lines and great speeches, but just nothing's coming to me right this very minute.
Super Billy, the Game of Thrones ending was brilliant. Contrary to popular belief, the problem was entirely a matter of execution. Glad George R.R. Martin is adamant about not changing it. We'll take your word for it. I don't know.
Thanks for
interesting.
For your thoughts on that. Like I said, I haven't seen it, so I don't have an opinion. But that's interesting. I haven't heard anybody say that.
I mean, I've heard a lot of people say the execution was terrible, but I've never heard anyone say that the idea was still brilliant. That's cool. Mr. Roboto, $2. Other idea is Starfleet Medical in Beta Quadrant.
Well, it would be cool to explore the Beta Quadrant more because we went there a few times, but we didn't do a lot with it. I mean, it'd be cool to see, to learn more about the before and after with the Dominion, with the Beta Quadrant, and that would have been a way to kind of fix some of the problems with Voyager, where the Delta Quadrant was supposed to be a really dire, scary, tumultuous place, and it was the aliens were supposed to be a lot more alien, and it most of the time was just another bunch of people with bumps in their heads. So it would have been cool if the Beta Quadrant could have made up for that so yeah, I mean, it's a really specific idea you have there. I can't get excited about a medical show, but like specifically medical in Beta Quadrant. Okay, but I like the idea of doing a show that finally explores the Beta Quadrant.
All right, and then two quick ones. I'll do this one first because it's faster. Are you watching? This is our Maniac Madness. Are you watching Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix?
No, some folks have been sending me messages about it, but I have not looked at it.
Cool.
I always say this. I'd like to. I don't know if I'm gonna have the time. Yeah, that's all I can say.
And then Ryder, $2, last super chat. What's the next Avengers lineup? Who's left?
Say that again. Oh, do you mean for MCU or?
What is Hulk doing? Do we know? We have any idea what Hulk's doing? Smart Hulk at this point?
There's been rumor that he's supposed to show up in She-Hulk, but I don't know if that's for sure.
But he's not off the grid. He's like the only big famous superhero, right? Because like Falcon's just like, I don't know what I'm only 2 episodes in, and he's just like wandering the streets, and people barely recognize him. So he's not like in the limelight.
Yeah, I can't begin to tell you what that team looks like. It's got to have Falcon on it.
I don't know. I mean, some form of Black Panther. He might pop in to America and help us
of some kind. Somebody from there. Wakanda just has to elect someone to be an Avenger. Yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, maybe. That'd be cool to see Avengers become like a global team, and like each country has, but we don't have any. It's just 2 countries at this point. We haven't really branched out.
I've never wanted this, but I could see them doing Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying I could see them doing it.
Well, he's new Iron Man. He's gonna be the leader of the Avengers. No.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. Probably new Black Widow and new Hawkeye.
Yeah, she'll be there. Hawkeye. I don't know. She's young. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know how young she's gonna be.
Maybe Miss Marvel. And then there's 20s. The question of will they do like a kid team? Because there's
Young Avengers
about that for a long. Yeah.
I don't know. It's in shambles. Is the answer. We have no idea. It depends on like what Doctor Strange is going to be mixed up with. He might be.
Oh, I'm sorry. When I was talking about Beta earlier, I was thinking Gamma. Sorry, guys. It's late. Yeah. Why specifically the Beta Quadrant then? Because like we've seen like a good amount of it. Yeah. Like DS9 is right smack dab in between Alpha and Beta, and Kronos is in the Beta Quadrant. Yeah, I know all that. It's late. I read Beta and I heard Gamma, and then I kept saying Beta when I was thinking Gamma. I'm not in the Star Trek headspace right now. Writer says new Thor and Captain Marvel. I wouldn't think Captain Marvel, because it would be really silly if after she makes a big deal out of there's way too many, unless there's some reason that there's some good reason that she's not still doing space stuff. It's weird after making a big deal out of, look, I didn't show up when bad things happened because all these other planets needed me, and now she's an Avenger.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
And then
unless
who knows what they're doing with Girl Thor.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything's up in the air.
Senior Nerd, Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, Sam Wilson, Bucky. Yeah, maybe Bucky. Spider-Man, Ant-Man, Wasp, Kate Bishop, and Black Widow. She-Hulk. Yeah, I think you're right about Kate Bishop, like I was talking about earlier. Well, how much of the Beta Quadrant is unexplored? I guess I don't know that. Anyway, well, is that everything, DJ? Because we're well over time.
Yeah,
and I'm
Connor says Florence Pugh is nearly as old as Scarlett Johansson. I was talking about Hawkeye. I don't know if he's talking to me, where I said she was too young. I don't know. Anyway, we're all confused. It's a half hour late. We should wrap it up before more super chats come in.
Yeah, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I hope you had a good time. We did too, despite my foibles. And now we're gonna find out what folks said with the poll that
Cool.
I put out. So, are you disappointed that Michael B. Jordan won't be playing Superman? We're gonna see how people feel about that, DJ. And it looks like it is a 50-50 split with 12 votes.
Oh no! Well,
That's
sorry guys.
really interesting. Blue Dragon 5 says, honestly, to me, the whole reason we're exploring the real estate with Superman is because I'm having a hard time reading this. Sorry. The buzz about what if Michael B. Jordan played Superman, to hear he's off the table kind of makes it all for nothing in a way. And then Spider Vasu says he's a fantastic actor, and even with a weak script, he would probably blow Cavill out of the water. And nobody has defenses for why it should be an unknown.
That's its own defense. It's because we want it to be an unknown.
Right.
Because we said so.
Yeah, I gave you the reason right there. Precisely.
Wow,
well, DJ had a thought before we end, so we should do that real quick, and then.
Oh, sure. I mean, we don't have to. We can hold it off till next time if you got to run.
Well, I'm more worried about you, man. We're keeping you up. You got to get up tomorrow.
Anyway, I just wanted to talk real quick about this that I just got in the mail. Can't see it because it's a crappy cover, but this is a little movie from 1962 called The Wonderful World of the Brothers Grimm. And if you don't know why this is interesting, it's interesting even if you're not a fairy tale fan, because this is one of the only two movies that was made in Cinerama. You know what Cinerama is? Cinerama was this film technique that was invented in 1952, which was very, very complicated and very expensive, but it was made to combat the television invention because nobody was going to the theaters because they were all staying home.
That's right. TV. I forgot about this.
Just like the same problem we're having now. Yeah. It was actually 3 projectors projecting 3 different reels on 3 different panels that made up one large curved screen. Hence the name Cinerama. It was supposed to be this big panoramic view that put you in the movie. But it was crazy hard to make. The camera, you had to have this big, like 200-pound camera that had like 3 film reels and 3 different lenses. You couldn't zoom. You could barely tilt or pan because you had to move the whole thing, and it was really hard to. It took like 5 projectionists to run a movie, and you had to edit it. Of course, you had to edit all 3 reels at the same time and make sure they were all synced up at the same time, and because you had to actually cut things back then, cut the film. There was no software, so it ended up being much too expensive. Most of the movies that were made in Cinerama were like just travel logs and documentaries and stuff. Only 2 feature films were made. This one of them was How the West Was Won, which is the more popular one and Oscar-winning one that most people are probably familiar with. But this was the other one, and it's called The Wonderful World of the Brothers Grimm. It is a biopic about the Brothers Grimm, and it also has 3 of their fairy tales mixed into it. One is The Dancing Princess, one is The Cobbler and the Elves, and one of them is about a dragon. I think it's a reluctant dragon or something. It's got some cool stop motion stuff in it, and it's got some people Russ Tamlin from the West Side Story is in one of the shorts, and then you've got the 2 guys from what's his name? The guy from It's a Mad, 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 Mad World and Love Bug. Buddy Hackett and Terry Thomas from It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World, both in this. And they have a little funny scene there in the dragon scene. They're actually on the cover here. Anyway, I'm saying all that to say that I found this. I watched this movie on TCM this year for the first time. I never heard of it. And I looked it up, and this is made by like a film preservation site that prints movies that have never been printed on DVD. So they made this. It's like kind of like a homemade, not a very good job. But I intended to tell you guys I was going to tell you the site to go check this out because I think it's an interesting like time capsule piece. But I just found out yesterday that they are doing a full 4K restoration of this movie, and they're releasing a Blu-ray later this year, which is crazy. I could have just waited, and I think you should wait if you have any interest at all, because that Blu-ray is going to be awesome. And it's crazy that they are doing that this year. When I finally found out about this movie, I was watching TCM movies on Hulu TV recently, and I was on a fairy tale kick because there's a lot of older fairy tale stuff that I hadn't seen, and I just recorded this movie and watched it, and I thought it was fun. So if you have any interest, if anything I said was interesting, if you're a film student or anything, check it out. I think it's cool.
You maybe want to bring recommends back because I feel like I just sat through one.
I loved recommends. I'll bring recommends back with you if you want it, because I used to love that show with you.
You gotta wait till I can spend money on myself again. But what we should
no, you've got plenty of stuff to recommend that's on the shelves.
Yeah, but I'm afraid I won't know anything about any of it anymore. What you have to do before you buy the 4K restoration of that is you have to build the panoramic view thing in your house. You gotta make that.
Yeah. Well, and that's the
projector
problem.
Screen just all the way around your room.
Yeah, that's the problem with this. Is like when I watched on TCM, it's like horrible quality, and you can still see the very clear delineations where the 3 panels were.
Oh,
so that's why
this
film needs a restoration. Like that's why I'm pumped about a restoration, because it's really hard to watch. Like it's like you're watching it in 3 screens, even on TV. It's really distracting.
Cool.
But it was cool. I mean, this Cinerama eventually led to CinemaScope, which led to widescreen, which led to IMAX. Everything we have today is because of Cinerama just kind of trying to innovate because TV was taken over. So that's what the theaters need these days, I guess. They need something to just blow people's minds. 5D. Let's get some 5D theaters going. I don't even know what the 5th dimension would be.
That sounds fast. The 5th dimension. That sounds fascinating. Thanks for telling us about that. That's cool. We are half an hour over an hour, and I promised DJ that these late shows would not go much past an hour, so we have got to get going. I'll do some sort of thoughts maybe next time. I didn't have anything great anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get going. But I want to thank everybody so very much for watching. Besides what DJ just did, the worst episode of the Captain Logan Show. And we will see you again.
No, it's been great. I mean, you guys are great. You gave some fantastic questions tonight, as always.
I don't want to say too much more about my own performance, but I want to thank you guys so much for being here. We'll see you again next Tuesday with another regular Captain Logan show. We are finished with Marvel Mania, but I say regular Captain Logan show. We've not decided yet what day it's going to be, but we're going to do a follow-up to Marvel Mania probably next week, doing a ranking show of the movies, the 15 movies that we watched, to doing commentaries for Marvel films during that series. So look forward to that. We'll have another just regular show for you next week as well. Sunday night is the spoiler cast for Falcon Winter Soldier, so pop in for that. I assume that'll probably be a long one. I'm sure that'll be at least a couple of hours, but look forward to that if you're so inclined. And thanks a lot for being here. Thanks for participating, and we'll see you again next time. I was Captain Logan. This was DJ Martinez. Say goodnight. Good night.